Alright, so just got finished with Dead Outlaw, and just to let you know, I'm going to be giving away the plot here, so before you decide to continue watching this, just know it is a show that you want to see. I'm still deliberating because it was quite an unorthodox show. I really think that it is for everybody to take a look at. For someone like me who is all about story, I think that it had a whole lot of story. The story was so good and the music was so catchy that even when the story stopped prematurely, it had already captured my attention. I'm going to start talking about a couple of things that stood out to me regarding the choreography and elements of what happened within the show. What I really liked was, I really liked this moment, and again, I'm going to be giving this away, okay? You're going to be giving away the details of the show from this point further. Okay, so let's go ahead and close the video and move on if you intend to go see it, which I do advise that you do. Very unorthodox, and when I say that, usually it's it's something that means not so good, okay? But here it was so rich with storyline. What I really liked was, first I had something I'd never seen before, and what I saw was the guy got so drunk on stage, the main character of the show, this Dead Outlaw character, that he actually pushed the entire, he pushed the prop, the background, the set himself. And that was, of course, scripted. And it wasn't a full push, but it was done in a way that I had never seen before because it was in like this rage moment. Incredibly interesting. Another thing is when this guy died, first that happened way prematurely. That happened about, like 60% way through the show when he actually died. The story had been so well established, I was so invested in the story that when that happened, I didn't know what this thing was going to turn into. And there were moments where they sort of lost me, but my curiosity was so heavily piqued, and I was very intrigued. But the moment when he was actually shot it was like a standoff, and you had the gunmen, the sheriffs that were outside, pointing at him who was on the roof, and he was pointing back at them, and we never heard the stereotypical gunshots actually being fired. It was actually choreographed really well as his body flailed up in the air. You're not even showing any not showing any blood or any velvet or any type of attempt to correlate death besides the motion, the narration that was happening throughout this show. I thought was absolutely seamless. Really, really good. And then when they took his body and they carted it over and they put him into the casket standing up straight, never seen anything like it. And I remembered at that moment when they put him into this casket like this, of this how unique it was. They have done that on the stage. I never seen that, in like 20 years of Broadway reviewing and Broadway seeing shows and stuff. I never seen anything like that. But that ended up being a crucial element of the entire show. So how poetic and how awesome, what kind of stagecraft that was, how he was placed inside that casket, ended up being the foundation for the entire rest of the show. The unorthodox part of this is meaning that, typically what do we have? We usually have a story, and at the end of the story is a good positive outcome. Whereas this was like history being told. So 60%, about a little bit halfway through the show, the story of who this dead outlaw is concluded with his death. And then his life actually, you would think, how is this guy's character going to continue on? How is that story going to continue on? And the way that it did it, which again, I'm giving away the plot here, but if you did, the way they continued on the story was by what happened with his body from that point forward. His body became, what's the word? Not cremated, but his body became mummified. Okay, and then he became a character that would be at like Coney Island, not necessarily, but he was seen as the dead outlaw. People would come and they would pay like 25 cents in order to see his body, and his body was sold from one person to the other. It's going back into like 1910, early 20s era. But the music was incredibly catchy, and you know, the lead actor really sat on stage for the last 40% of the show with no motion, no activity, no movement to his body. But there was, when they stopped the story so prematurely, I was like, oh wow, this is good. So, and then after he got resold about 3 or 4 times, I was like, okay, you know, what's going on here? So that they lost me, but then they picked me back up because they kept stapling the show back together with these catchy music, catchy songs that told the conclusion of the story. And somehow they didn't leave me feeling lackluster. Somehow I feel like there actually was a conclusion, and I was okay with the entire thing. So I think this one's gonna be, gosh, you know, it's so strange. I'm gonna do an 86. This is an 86. This isn't a must-see, right? But is it worthy of the stage? Absolutely worthy of the stage. Is it something that I'm gonna see again? I really like the music. I'm gonna get the soundtrack. I'm gonna see what it is that I liked. There was, you know, there's a type of when you're in the theater and don't have a microphone in front of your face. Firstly, at all, you know, the vocals sound a little bit, you know, one way. The ambience in the room. Now, it's very normal within the theater for everyone to be mic'd up and have a, you know, lapel mic either on their forehead or somewhere on the clothing, and then you know their voice sounds okay, you know, a certain way. But then here, when you actually have a microphone, when you've got a microphone in front of your face and you're singing in that regard, it's a completely distorted voice. And they utilize that because a lot of the music, when this main character, the outlaw, was singing, he was actually screaming and he was raging, and they were illustrating how he had this change of personality when he was illustrating when he had a change of this personality when he had gotten intoxicated. So I liked it, and the unorthodoxy about this show is something that it's a little bit difficult to explain. I hope I've done it for you. I have revealed the plot too much, so that's not, you know, if you're still watching, then that means I guess you don't care to see it, or it's already closing. But certainly worthy of the Broadway stage, certainly entertaining. Very interesting show. Thank you, guys. You know, I think I have to clarify something regarding saying that the story ended 60% of the way through the show. That's really not true at all. It's not a good representation. The expectation of the story and the plot had started from the beginning, the story of this outlaw's life, that ended because he died, you know. And you're either usually looking forward to what, like a positive ending or some sort of climax that would take place. But the story then became something else. So it was like a pivot. So just to re-clarify, I mean, this was rich with story, rich with history, and that's what made it so cute. It was like a story of vaudeville. Interesting. I don't think I can say that I've seen anything like it before. So what did I say? I got a review. I think like an 86, an 88. I mean, this thing is worth seeing. Man, if we got so many different shows that are out there, is this one that I would see? You know, if I have a lot of other choices, no, go see my 100s, right? Go see the 100s, and then something like this will follow. But I really think that they did a fantastic job. The director, really good direction on this show. How they managed to keep this thing put together with the plot being what it was. I imagine that this was a little bit lackluster during rehearsals, during previews, during pre-production. And the director probably had a really significant role in making this thing not be horrible. So kudos to you. You did a really good job. Really good job. And actually, I don't know what your name is, but I'm going to be looking you up and I'll be following you in the future to come.